Well, stress, anxiety, and depression, they're just some of the emotions experienced by people facing big debts. Now, a new survey shows us just how big of an impact consumer debt has on emotional health. The study by Sands and Associates shows us that more than a quarter of people seeking help dealing with their debt say that they suffer from depression, and more than a 1 in 6 say their financial difficulties have caused them to contemplate suicide. Certainly very concerning. Joining us today with more is Blair Manton from Sands and Associates. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Now, this is obviously concerning when you see that. How do you feel about these results?
Well, I think it's great that we've actually going to start the conversation about this, because we see it day in and day out when people come into our office for help with their debts. You can just see how all-consuming the stress is. You know, it's physical, it's emotional, it's mental. So by doing this survey, we really want to get the conversation started that, you know, a lot of people are having debt and it's really impacting beyond the financial.
And what kind of debt are people dealing with here in terms of a number?
Well, the most common amount of debt that we deal with is between $25,000 to $50,000 of consumer debt. So that's usually when people start to realize I'm only making minimum payments, the debts aren't going down each month, I've really got to do something to get some help.
And that's outside of secured debts like mortgages or car loans.
Yeah, exactly. That's your standard things like lines of credit, credit cards, MasterCard, Visa, income taxes, and even student loans. So everything other than a mortgage and a car loan.
So when someone comes to you with those types of emotions, or people are dealing with these types of thoughts, what can they do?
Well, the biggest thing is to realize that they're not alone. You know, it's over 100,000 people in Canada visit a licensed insolvency trustee each year, and they restructure their debts. They start to move forward. So what we've got to do is take some of the judgment and the stigma away from being in debt and realize it's a problem like any other, and it's got a solution that can work every single time.
Yeah, because I imagine the embarrassment of the situation is maybe what holds a lot of people from seeking help.
Oh, that's huge. And it's even worse in the older demographics. I find senior citizens, a lot of them, you know, we want to honor our obligations, but sometimes we just can't. And people get so down on themselves, as we said, about depression, about physical manifestations of stress, and even about contemplating suicide. There's no debt problem so severe that suicide should be a contemplation.
Yeah, it certainly is very sad. So if someone is feeling really bogged down, stressed by their debt, what should they do?
Well, they should take a deep breath. They should realize it's a money problem. It's not a life problem. It's something that can be solved, and they should reach out for help. Any licensed insolvency trustee in Canada will sit down with you for a free consultation. There are ways to deal with your debts that have nothing to do with bankruptcy, that stop all of the interest, that get you back on track. Any licensed insolvency trustee will explain all of those options to you.
And what's the easiest way to get in touch with someone like that? I mean, for some people, they might not know of someone like that.
Yeah, well, if you reach out to Sands and Associates, we've got 15 offices in the Lower Mainland in BC. We're online at sands-trustee.com. If you're outside of the Lower Mainland or outside of BC, if you just Google insolvency trustee, you'll find all the people that can help you.
All right, fantastic. Well, certainly some very good information for people out there. Of course, a lot of people dealing with debt in one way or another. Thank you so much for being with us today, Blair.